Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, this racing show is sponsored by Cadrat Construction, Dan Henning Microsport and Cage Kart Wings, and also Brody Manning Motorsports. Let's get these drivers in their cars to fire these engines up because tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver S. Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have with us Racin Brayson Hand. Welcome to the show, Brayson.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, Brayson, let's talk about your racing career. Where did it start for you?
So I started in 2014 at the age of 6 years old, and I had my first race, I believe, was in Duncan, Oklahoma.
Okay, what was it like for you to race, when you were 6 years old for the first time?
You know, so it basically started because my dad wanted to get me into the sport of racing dirt cars on these dirt oval tracks, but my mom wasn't super fond of it, and well, one day, my mom came home from work with an outlaw cart sitting in our driveway, and she wasn't too happy with my dad. But we uh, we went out on our first race in Duncan, Oklahoma, and for as first races go, I didn't really do too great, but it started off my right now 10-year journey of racing outlaw carts.
Okay, so Brayson, with your racing career, have you had a lot of success with your racing career?
I've had the occasional win here and there. We had some decent luck actually last night. We ran in Minko, Oklahoma, and I ran two classes, one where we took the wing off and one where we had the wing on. Had some decent luck, but um, we haven't really won any big races. The kind of like staple of my career is being able to race in the Tulsa Shootout.
Okay, what's it like to race the Tulsa Shootout, Brayson?
There is it's pretty intense. That's to say the least. You're with there with so many well-known drivers. I mean, the Torgersons, the Ricky Thornton Jr., and it's there's a lot of competition, and it was my first time in a micro, and it was a pretty crazy debut to say the least.
So, okay, Brayson, when you're racing the Tulsa Shootout, is there a lot of stress and tension that can get the best of you at that track?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very cool track. I've Before then, I'd raced that track in iRacing, and it's pretty surreal to be there in real life and on the track and going as fast as you are. And it gets intense. And I ended up flipping at the Tulsa Shootout, and surprisingly, it wasn't my fault that it happened. And but we were able to get out and finish the rest of the Tulsa Shootout after that flip.
Okay, so Brayson, with your racing career, what's it like for a race car driver like yourself to win races?
It's really good for my team, and because we don't really get the opportunity to race as much as we'd like to, and the whenever we win races, it really just because we always have a competitive car. It doesn't really matter what I'm in. It just we just have to get lucky and have things fall our way, and whenever they do, it's pretty good for our team, and it brings the hopes up again.
Okay, so Brayson, okay, how do you celebrate your victories after you won races?
You know, I really like doing some donuts. It's part of the most fun of winning, in my opinion. The adrenaline gets to you. You may be tired after that long race and after that win, but that adrenaline hits you, and then you just do some crazy donuts, and it's a lot of fun.
What's the longest race you've ever competed in?
I believe it was, let me think. I think it was maybe 35 laps.
Okay.
I think that was it.
So Brayson, with your racing career, where do you want it to take you?
I really just want to have something I'm comfortable with. Just, I mean, of course, you want to get to the big cars, but I just want to be able to get out to the tracks consistently and be able to have fun, but as well as have a career out of it. So, more along the lines of my favorite car that I would want to drive is non-wing sprint cars, midgets, and then, the big 410s, that's where the big 410s is, they get you places.
Okay. So with that being said, Brayson, would you like it to take you to like IndyCar eventually if you had the opportunity?
Yeah, that would be amazing. That's that's really the big goal. And you know, more along the lines of NASCAR. I'm a huge NASCAR fan. Go Kyle Larson.
Yeah, he's done fairly well in qualifying for Indy, so we'll see where this takes him next week.
Yeah,
He says it's a
I'm
whole new
excited for
ball
that.
game getting those cars.
Yeah.
So Brayson, okay, what is your list of top five favorite tracks you've ever raced on?
So, my I've only like really traveled out to like one track, and it was in Iowa, and that was English Creek Speedway for the Dirt Kart Nationals.
Okay,
And I've been out there twice in my time, but that would have to be number one because it's the biggest track I've ever raced the karts on, and you get up to some crazy speeds there. Number
okay,
two, I'm gonna have to get more local, and my local track, Shawnee, at the Heart of Oklahoma Expo Center. That's a pretty good one. And you know, uh, let me think. Number three, we have to do Minko, Oklahoma, that I just raced at in this yesterday actually. And number four, I like Cam Cartway. Cam Cartway is a good one down in Texas. Um, let's think. Number five. There's a little a barn I used to race at whenever I was real younger in Hera, Oklahoma, and that's just like a little small area. It's like a flat track, and we would run people would run quads, and they'd race quads on the flat tracks, the old flat carts, and sometimes there'd be enough of a show to run some opens there too.
okay. So Brayson, what's your list of top five worst tracks you've ever raced on?
See, that's the thing. I've really, like, now that I think about it, I've only raced on maybe 5 or 6 tracks in my time. Oh, well, actually, I can include the shootout. I forgot to include that in the last one. Uh, Shootout would actually be number 1 on the last list. Uh, I mean, just because it didn't have enough of a show, I'd have to say that little barn I race in Hera,
Yeah. So
but
Brayson, um, when it comes to your racing career and stuff like that, who do you have on your racing crew?
uh, well, my dad is a big one for my racing career. He's my crew chief. He puts the whole car together whenever I wreck it and giving me all the tips. He's the one studying other drivers and really he's my number one for helping me get out there.
Okay. So Brayson, what's an awesome day at the racetrack look like for you?
Getting into victory lane. That's a really good one.
How about what's an awesome day at the race shop look like for you?
A day where the car is fully intact and clean.
Okay. So Brayson, with your racing career, what's some of the how can I put it this way? What's some of the uh, uh, most high octane stressful moments you've been through at the racetrack?
Um, I'd have to say the stressful moment probably of my career with I'd have to say is just being at the Tulsa shootout and being in that wreck that I was in. And, 'cause it really gets your emotions going and,
Mm.
anger, fear, all that.
Yeah. So Brayson, okay. So who do you have for sponsors on your racing crew? On your race car, sorry.
So I have McClung Realty, which is a realty, group that sponsors my car, and that's for the winter and summer series that help us out. Um, we don't really have a bunch of sponsors. We could always use more, and
Okay,
it
that was
would
a question for you. So how does everybody get a hold of you to sponsor you?
So I'm most well known for my social media platforms, most notably my Racin' Brayson Facebook page, and that's where most people can DM me and get out to me and talk to me and my parents on working on new sponsorship opportunities to help me get out there and do what I love so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you get the opportunity to go hit up Brayson on Facebook. So, Brayson, okay, what is your home racetrack that you race on?
My home racetrack is at the Heart of Oklahoma Expo Center in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Okay, okay. So, Brayson, okay, um, do you okay when you're out there racing? Okay, couple questions. Do you like which do you like better, the outdoor series or the winter series?
The Winter Series. The Winter Series is my favorite.
Okay, when it comes to you racing on a track, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the wet, sticky track, the dry, dusty track, or the rough track that it's just like, man, you're going across a a a rough road?
I'd have to say I like a super tacky track, where you can really put your foot down and move fast.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Brayson, what's the story behind your race car number now? Where did that come from?
So actually, so whenever I was real little, like whenever we got my first car, we were just out in our garage, and that's our garage is our race shop, and we were just sitting there thinking, and I was like, why don't we just do the '01? And because I'll always be in first, I'll always be
Yep.
winning. And they were like, all right, well, we gotta add a letter at the end of it. And so they added the '01B, and
Okay.
it's come a staple in my career and who I am.
Okay. So Brayson, what do you enjoy most about your racing career?
Really, just be able to be on track and enjoy the thrill of just being out there and hanging out with friends at the track and definitely winning. Gotta
Do
love
you
a win.
do you ever say to yourself, like at some racetracks, you stop, but you sit back and you kind of take when you take it all in, say to yourself, I can't believe I'm here doing this.
Yeah, because there's a lot that goes into this. Like a lot of our money goes into this. It's Racing is not a cheap sport whatsoever, and we're lucky to be out there every single time.
Okay. So Brayson, who's the race car drivers that you look up to?
So, as I said before, Kyle Larson, he's my favorite driver of all time.
Yeah,
Um, I like T-Mez, Thomas Mesereau. He's a good one.
yeah.
One of my favorites. Mm, let's see. One of my new favorites of mine that are coming up recently, Corey Day. He's pretty
Okay,
good in the sprint car scene right now.
okay,
And I'd say that's a good top three to have that on right now.
okay. Okay. So Brayson, what do you do? What do you like to do for excitement away from the racetrack?
I like playing my iRacing on my PC and doing that to make it feel like I'm out there on the track whenever I can't be.
Okay.
or working on my YouTube videos for my YouTube channel, which anybody at home that's watching this can go check out on Racin Brayson. Just search that in the search bar, and it should come up my YouTube channel where I post all my footage from. Let's see, about I've been doing it a little over a year now, and we're I need to finish or I need to start editing for this last weekend, and I do the GoPros on the car, and then I edit it all together and put it in a nice video, and I record myself with the GoPro, and I talk to the camera, just trying to do something to get me out there.
Okay. So pretty awesome that you're a YouTuber like myself. Um, Another question I have for you: have you ever met Kyle Larson at all?
No, that would be a dream, a dream, a dream. I would love to meet Kyle Larson.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, Brayson, do you enjoy being around the racing fans?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big love for the sport of racing, and whenever you're there, you just, you feel like you're there with like a family, because
Yeah.
you feel like, at least where I'm from and here in Oklahoma, you really know just about everybody.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, Brayson, do you have any advice out there for anybody wanting to get behind the wheel?
It takes time to warm up to it and to get to it. There was a time in my career where uh, I didn't want to race, and I was in the littler cars, and I didn't want to race, and I eventually stopped trying, and I just needed a little break, and I worked my way back into it, and I've never stopped loving it since. And
Okay.
it just takes the dedication to really work for it and strive to be the best.
Okay. So, Brayson, we're at the portion of the show where we have our guest, if they are on board with it, we have our guest step up and ask questions if they want. So, we're going to go ahead and toss the mic over to you, and give any questions, go ahead and shoot away.
Oh, I get to ask you questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh, how long have you been doing these shows for?
Since April of 2018.
Oh, okay. What are some big names you've interviewed before?
Oh, well, okay, Brayson, these are always my favorite stories, talking about the race car drivers I've interviewed and big name drivers. Well, lo and behold, Brayson, you're from down there in Oklahoma. I've actually had on the Facebook Live version, I had World of Outlaw sensation Shane Stewart on here.
Oh, wow.
And then I also had former USEC Silver Crown sprint car driver and former NASCAR driver Shane Meal on here.
Oh, wow.
And then getting further into racing, I was able to sit down and talk to the late great Dan Weldon, his two boys, Oliver and Sebastian. They're carrying on their dad's legacy because Dan was a two-time Indianapolis 500 champion and one-time IZOD IndyCar champion.
Man, that's crazy. You've gotten the luxury of being able to interview some pretty famous people.
Oh, exactly, exactly. I was even able to sit down with last year Jerry Coons Jr.
Wow, that's a really big name,
Oh yes,
especially
definitely.
in the dirt scene.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Do you know who Shane Meal is, Brayson?
The name is definitely familiar. It is definitely familiar.
Get a chance, pull up on YouTube his story that he did when Steve Burns was alive. He was able to sit down and Steve Burns talked to him about his life in racing and his battle back from a certain situation and his eventual tragic incident that kind of left him unable to drive anymore. But it's really quite interesting. Very, very interesting individual.
Mm. I definitely will. I think I have one more question for you.
Yes.
Have you ever been behind the wheel?
I have been behind the wheel of a go-kart on a go-kart amusement park racetrack, but that's the closest I've come.
Oh man, I'd love to get you behind the wheel of like one of these carts or something like that. I think that would be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, and the crazy thing, Brayson, is when we were doing this, my buddy used to be a mechanic over at a amusement park over called Arnold's Park Amusement Park. And the year he was there as a mechanic in the shop, he told me, he says the first day he was there, he's like, "You need to get over and get your season pass." What for? He's like, "Just get your season pass for the go kart track, and I'll take care of it." All right, all right. So I went and got the season pass to the go kart track. Well, every day he worked, he'd be on the phone with me, texting me saying, "You need to get over here." What for? Because number one, I don't have a test driver because I'm working on these carts, the mechanics of them. I need somebody to go out and be the test driver and test these out on the track. Oh, okay. There would be days, I kid you not, Brayson, there would be kids lined up along the fence line, and we're just flying around this road course like there's no tomorrow. And the kids go, "How the heck is this possible? You guys are just flying around like there's no tomorrow." And when we get behind the wheel, they're slower than molasses. We're like, "We're not going to tell you our secrets because we know secrets that you guys don't." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
would well when we would go out, we would go out and put on a show. We would run door to door, and it was just like, man, this is nuts. And he'd be like trying to throw blocks on me and sliders, and I'd come around the corner and I'd throw a slider on him, and it was just yeah, it was just insane. And I beat him a couple times out on the track because I was leading, and him and his friend were right behind me, and they're trying to figure out a way to pass me, and I could see him out the side, and I would kind of swing up on the track and kind of block him. Well, then the other one would try to come down low, and I'd swing down low and block him. And man, that was some pretty insane racing. But the
Wow.
story is the reason why we were so fast is because he was a mechanic and he took the governors out.
Always knew them karting places cheated
Yeah,
us. I've ran at have you ever been to one of the K1 speed carts before?
no, I did not.
I went to one of those, and those are some of the fastest little carts you've ever been in. They're electric, and they've got all the torque you could ever need. And whenever I went there, I went with me and my uncle, and I whooped everybody. I had the fastest lap around the track.
Wow. Yeah, these carts here, man, you could take the governor out at the amusement park I went to. You're like literally riding out the edge of your seat, and you're like, "Oh man." And you've got kids that are just slowing down ahead of you, and you're like, "Okay, now you got to play a chess match and
Yeah,
move down the lap traffic."
yeah.
Oh yeah,
So actually, I have another question for you.
yeah.
What got you into the racing scene? Like, what made you want to do the interviews and like stuff like
Well,
that?
the story goes, Brayson, how I got into the racing scene is it's ever since I was 6 years old, it's the sport I gravitated towards. It's sit down in front of the TV and it had to be racing. And everybody's like, you like to watch football? Yeah, I prefer racing over football. So that's what we all watched at the house is racing, 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 drag racing, sprint cars, NASCAR, IndyCar. Yeah. Formula One. If it was on TV and there was some sort of racing on, guess what? It's on the TV and that's that. Well, then the racing show come about by a guy by the name of Clay Evans over in Paulina, Iowa. He says to me, we had become friends over a couple of years, and I enjoyed the friendship, meeting the drivers through Facebook, talking to them, just becoming friends of theirs, and sharing the love of the sport. Well, me and him, he kind of got a hold of me one day, and he says back in the spring of 2018, and he says, Josh, he says I have this crazy idea, and I says, well, Clay Evans, what are you talking about? And he says, I have my own professional business. It's called Tri-State Soft Washing. And I said, yeah. And I says, by the way, he says, I race along with my son Carter. Yep. He says, we've noticed one thing with your Facebook page. You have a lot of race car drivers on there. Yeah, there is. And they says, well, what's that about? And I says, I just generally love the sport. I love talking to race car drivers, being friends of theirs. He's like, oh, he says, well, my crazy idea is, okay, I've seen a lot of different racing podcast hosts, racing show hosts. Why couldn't we do this for you and make you successful? And I says, well, A, Clay, never been on a camera a day in my life. B, how do you know if we're gonna even get an audience? And C, what happens if we bomb out? And he says, well, camera wise, let's do a couple practice rounds. B, he says, let's just see what happens. It could either take us really big places, it could take us nowhere. Let's just see what happens. And if it doesn't go anywhere, at least we tried. Okay. So I says, well, practice rounds, what are you talking about? And he says, well, we'll do Facebook Live. Okay. He says, I've got a couple drivers lined up and already. I was like, okay. So he says, your job is to go on here on their Facebook pages, read some stats on them, talk to them. Okay. So we literally started out Brayson spring of 2018 with 38 viewers, which was a decent amount to start out with.
Yeah.
Well, just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to the point the minute I pressed that live button, boom, everybody that was on my Facebook and on my business account, they would be just like tuned in. And well, then we left Facebook back in 2020, 2020, 2021, somewhere in there to go over to YouTube. And when we left, it was really kind of crazy because when we left, we had over 2,700 and some fans throughout the USA and Canada. And I was just like, man, this is insane. This is totally insane. Well, then lo and behold, when we were talking about leaving, because we had initially hadn't left yet, we had talked about going to YouTube or a paid platform or whatever. And Mark and Samantha Taylor out of West Virginia approached us and said, hey, you've had our son Cameron on your racing show. He races quarter midgets. Yep. We have something to tell you. We have degrees in marketing. Okay. So we work for other companies, but yet we want to start our own company up too. Okay. So with that being said, we want you to be one of our first clients. And I said, well, okay. So what are you talking first clients? They says, well, you've outgrown the Facebook scene. Let's talk about where you want to go next. And I said, well, we want to go to a paid platform, but don't know where to go. Okay. So they says, well, let's go to YouTube. Let's kind of shoot an intro, kind of like a promo video. Okay. So we did that and we got over to YouTube and then it just started growing from there to the point we've got 400 and some 400 some subscribers, sorry, and over 15 to 16,000 views on YouTube. So yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty good for really the short amount of time you've been doing it.
yeah.
And I've been trying to make this YouTube thing work, like you said, a paid platform, to really get yourself out there and
And
possibly
every,
make an income from it.
yeah, and everybody's like, so talking YouTube, did you ever think you'd be a YouTuber? And I says, well, no, not really. They're like, but who inspired you to, you do the racing show? Who inspired you to go to YouTube? And I says, there's a guy that I followed on YouTube. I'll tell you what, every time he turns that camera on, and he became really super famous, and it just kind of inspired me, was Roman Atwood. Roman, man, he's always got this awesome slogan he throws out there, and it was like, so yeah, we know Roman Atwood, but we don't know what his slogan is. I said, well, his slogan he always throws out there is "You're beautiful, you're one of a kind, smile more," and it's always a positive statement, and that's kind of where I want to take drivers is on a positive road.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to watch Roman whenever I was real young, and I'd watch him and enjoy his videos all the time.
Yep.
His Smile More brand.
Oh yeah. Yep. He since went and he's still doing YouTube, but he's also a helicopter pilot now.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, he went and bought. He's got two helicopters he owns.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
also did make a lot of money off YouTube for
Oh
sure.
yeah. A lot. A lot. So yeah, and Brayson, just to be the positive role model for you guys is the game plan.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
My the person who got me into doing YouTube was you've most likely heard of him, Tanner Holmes.
Oh yeah. 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 I've met
You get
Tanner Holmes. Met him last year, Jackson Motorplex, Jackson Nationals when he was driving the 1A car for Jacob Allen.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met him before. um, whenever he came to Oklahoma to run the manufacturer's throwdown,
Okay.
here at my local track.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty cool to have him come down. I took pictures with him, and he's got me really motivated into doing this YouTube thing because he's pretty good at it. And look at him now; he's racing with the World of Outlaws, High Limit.
Yeah. I just wish with his team, I wish they would have been able to merge with Bobby Allen and have, instead of a two-car team, a three-car team, and just kind of iron that all out.
Yeah,
Yep. Oh yeah, I remember back in the day, Brayson, watching Indy 500 back when I was a kid, and being mesmerized by these guys going out there doing 230, 240 miles an hour, and was like, whoa.
yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah,
I was watching the All-Star race earlier or before it even started. They were I think they were holding it up for Larson so he
yeah,
can make it.
yeah, yep, yep. It's the most stressful time at Indy is the qualification and the practices, and then race day. It's all very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have anything else you want to ask me, Brayson?
No, that's just about it. Those were kind of just some of the things I was intrigued about and wanted to know about you, but I'm glad I know now.
Yeah. So Brayson, at the midpoint of your racing season, I would love to have you back on here again to give us an update as to what's going on with your racing career.
Okay, yeah. We're in the midst kind of start of our summer season right now.
Oh yeah,
And I guess how about some around like the start of the winter season?
that's fine. That's fine. That is fine. So
It'd probably be
Brayson,
some around November
yeah,
or
that's
October, probably.
yeah. So Brayson, we would like to thank you very much for being a part of this racing show with us tonight, talking to us about your racing career, and definitely getting to know you a lot better. So Brayson, before I let you go, do you have anybody you'd like to send a thank you out to?
Just wanted to send a thanks to everybody who would be watching this that's my fans and who has supported me many times before. My dad, my mom, anybody who's ever helped to get me out to the races. You guys are the only reason I could keep doing this and to keep doing this YouTube thing. Hopefully it works out for me.
Yes, but thank you very much, Brayson. I will call you in a little bit to thank you in person. I will have you step out. I'm definitely going to call you here shortly. But thank you again, Brayson, for being on the racing show with us tonight.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Brayson Hand out of Oklahoma. Definitely amazing race car driver. Definitely somebody you're going to want to keep your eye on and follow his racing career at Racing Brayson on Facebook page and Racing Brayson on YouTube. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night we'll have our co-host back eventually, Oliver Schultz, definitely on the racing show with us, talking about racing news and hopefully get some more drivers involved. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to sponsor a racing show or be on a racing show, feel free to call us or text us at 712-209-7138, or you can email us at jjnolan151@gmail.com. With that being said, have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to you on another episode of the Josh Nolan and Oliver S. Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube.